that feeling when you picked out your house and you're like going through the process and you done told your family, you mentally moved in, and now you're just waiting for the appraisal and wondering what is about to happen next. Nobody really prepares buyers for this part of the process. And honestly, one of the biggest questions that buyers should ask is this: does your realtor actually prepare you for what to expect next? Because this is the moment that the deal can either become real or start changing. And I had clients who experienced this when the appraisal just literally last month, the appraisal came back $20,000 below the price we agreed upon. But the surprising part wasn't the value, it was what the seller tried to do next. So let me tell you what they tried to do. We had negotiated really good terms for my buyer. The seller agreed to give $12,000 in closing costs. Inspections were done. Loan was moving forward. We were doing great. Everything felt really, really smooth. They got like almost everything that they wanted. Emotionally, my buyers had already owned the home, but that appraisal came back $20,000 low. And instantly, the energy of the whole transaction changed. See, most buyers think that something simple happens at this point. They think the seller just lowers the price, or the buyer pays the difference. Not in this market, or the deal will fall apart. But in real life, this is when real negotiation starts. So instead of adjusting the price, the seller said that they would not give any more closing costs. They just like, nope, we were done, zero. They can have it at that price, but we can't give closing costs. So my buyers were like, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? But this is something that I want every buyer to understand. Contracts don't stop negotiation. New information restarts it. And as an appraisal is the biggest informational change in a real estate transaction, is one of them. So here's the part that buyers usually never see. This is the thing. I didn't go back and argue. I didn't react emotionally. I researched first. I looked into what the seller actually bought the property for, did a little digging. How long had they owned the home? What homes in the neighborhood, what did they actually close at? Were the sellers given closing costs in those homes? What is their equity position and what's their real profit margin? Because sellers don't negotiate based on fairness, they negotiate based on perceived loss. And what I discovered was important. They had some room, not unlimited room, but they definitely had more than zero. So the goal was not to fight it out. The goal was to show a safe path to closing. So instead of saying my buyers need help, I reframed the whole conversation. So here's how we solved the appraisal problem without restarting the entire transaction and risking another low appraisal. Because once a property appraised low once, every future buyer may become a question mark. Now, the seller has to choose between certainty and starting all over. But that was their choice. But this was our leverage, right? So we renegotiated. Not 12,000, not zero, but we got them $7,500 in closing costs. My buyers protect a large portion of their savings and still move forward with confidence and got the price down 20,000. So something really important here. The big negotiations happen after the contract, not before. Here's what I want every buyer watching to do before hiring an agent. So you want to ask them this question. Ask them, what happens if the appraisal comes in low? And what is your strategy to protect my position? Because guess what? There should be a strategy beforehand. Not just, well, we'll see what the seller says. Because by the time you're waiting on the appraisal, you are emotionally attached to this property and decisions become expensive. But also ask this question: what happens if the appraisal comes in high? Yep, we talk about that too. Most buyers don't even know that that matters, but it does, because now you agreed to a price lower than market value. Exciting. And how your agent handles negotiations before the contract determines whether you actually benefit from that or not. You would be surprised how many people discover their agent never planned for either scenario. Good agents react, great agents prepare. The appraisal is not just about value, it's a turning point in leverage. Even when it's higher, can be leverage. And the difference between losing money and protecting it usually comes down to preparation, not luck. So if you want to understand the parts of buying a home that nobody explains before you're emotionally attached, please subscribe to this channel, because I'm going to keep sharing real estate situations so you walk into purchase confidently instead of surprised, because these things are super important. Thank you for watching and happy shopping.